Welcome to Show-Off Showdown! In this series, the fighters are called Show-Offs, and this is the series for the Show-Off Showdown! Now let's meet the Show-Offs for tonight's showdown, shall we? Tonight, we have a battle between the clone daughter of Wolverine and the clone sister of Kitana. That's right, X-23 versus Mileena! Which of these two vicious, female, animalistic, yet ironically attractive killing machines will rip the other apart first? Well, I'll say this much, only one of them will walk away from this brutally epic bloodbath in one piece. I put links to the analysis on both characters in the description below. Now without further ado, it's time for the Show-Off to Showdown!
Get ready for the next battle. Fight!
Okay, so serious.
I think I prefer the mask.
Let's get beautiful! Why don't you kneel?
Finish her! Fatality.
Well, Mileena's sister lost to an elf, and now she loses to a Wolverine!
Now let's discuss how and why X-23 wins this beautifully brutal epic showdown. First off, let's discuss who is more skilled and experienced. Now, believe it or not, Mileena is physically 10,000 years old, despite looking like a young adult, so I think it's safe to say that Mileena definitely has more experience. Now, Mileena is also arguably more skilled in martial arts as well, but X-23 is still very skilled in her own right. And in fact, not only is she a lot smarter and more clever than she looks, but she can quickly make up strategies on the fly, she knows the weak points on a human body, her super senses allow her to predict her opponent's actions and detect people's motives and emotions, even while fighting opponents such as Wolverine and Taskmaster, and she never plays around with her opponent and aims to end the fight as quickly as possible. So while Mileena's skill and experience might be higher in numbers, X-23's skills and combative capability will give her a good edge as well, especially since Mileena is mentally unstable and pretty delusional despite her intelligence, so X-23 shouldn't have much of a problem finding a way around her. Now let's discuss strength. Now, Mileena is definitely a lot stronger than she looks. In fact, she is said to match the strength of a Shoken, who are among one of the strongest races in the Mortal Kombat universe. Not only that, but her razor-sharp Tarkatan teeth can rip through tough flesh, bone, metal, and armor, and she can break and shatter bones with ease, can lift Shao Kahn's Wrath Hammer and fatally injure Reiko with it, and she's even strong enough to shatter a titanium symbol in one swing. Now, after measuring the overall size of this symbol, including height, width, length, shape, structure, etc., and then slowing the footage down to frame by frame to observe how precisely it was shattered, as well as which fragments were separated and sent flying upon impact, and then doing a few other contributing measurements and calculations, the amount of force required to shatter this titanium symbol would require roughly about 63,000 psi, or 31.5 tons of force per square inch. No doubt that's very impressive. Now as for X-23, she's strong enough to snap off a piece of the Eiffel Tower and use it as a weapon, can break through armored glass like it was nothing, toppled Rockslide, a large man literally made of rocks, and even held her own against the Hulk and managed to blind him. Although that was probably more due to her claws than just her strength alone, but I'll talk more about that later. Now let's discuss speed. Now Mileena is quite fast in her own right, being superhumanly flexible and acrobatic. She can easily catch others off guard, mostly thanks to her teleportation abilities. She possesses the same agility as Kitana, being her clone sister, and she could possibly even be considered supersonic, although there is no direct confirmation on that. But even if there was, X-23 holds a clear advantage, as she has consistently shown hypersonic plus speed feats, such as dodging heavy gunfire on a daily basis, cutting down bullets in mid-flight, blitzing Taskmaster. She was said to be even faster than her father Wolverine, who is able to tag Speed Demon, and she can even identify the type of bullet that flies by her face. So I think X-23's reaction and combat speed gives her a good clear advantage in this category. Now let's discuss durability. Mileena is also a lot tougher than she looks, as she could take thorough blows that would normally kill a human being, such as being shot or stabbed multiple times, though there is a limit to that, falling down a trapdoor into a very deep pit. She can take hits from other very tough MK combatants, such as Shiva, who can stomp the ground hard enough to create earthquakes that send people flying off the ground, and Mileena has even gotten knocked unconscious twice by Raiden with no injuries. Now as impressive as that is, I think it's safe to say that X-23 has shown much more impressive feats of durability, as she once tanked a building-busting explosion, got ran over by a train, got hurled several miles away and was fine, survived getting her neck snapped, shrugged off getting pummeled by a giant woman strong enough to break concrete, and can even survive the vacuum of space for some time without any protection. Not only is she incredibly tough, but just like her father Wolverine, she has a healing factor. In fact, X-23's healing factor was actually said to be superior to Wolverine's. To give some examples, she once regenerated from having her stomach blown up and all of her sweat turned into acid by a matter manipulator, had the entire right side of her body blasted off with a bazooka, had her arm chopped off and walked it off like it was nothing and continued to fight, reattached her legs and healed within seconds, and even healed from having her face melted off, so biting off her face is kinda out of the question for Mileena. With a healing factor like that, Mileena's gonna have a pretty hard time finding ways to kill X-23. Now, I'm not saying that Mileena has no way at all to kill X-23. In fact, it's possible that she might actually have a way. For instance, decapitating her head could bypass X-23's healing factor, and luckily for Mileena, most of her fatality moves involve decapitation, though it definitely won't be as easy as it sounds on paper. Not only that, but X-23 would also most likely die if her brain is completely destroyed. Okay, now before somebody flat out claims that Mileena could easily kill her by stabbing a scythe through her head, that's not the case here. In fact, X-23 once extended her claws into her brain by accident and healed afterwards, so a simple stab to the brain isn't gonna cut it. No pun intended. What I mean is, you'd actually have to like obliterate her brain or destroy it completely. From what I've seen, the only way I could see Mileena possibly killing X-23 is by using one of her deadliest fatality moves, called Man-Eater, where she somehow literally inhales her opponent, devouring them whole and digesting them instantly, and then spitting out all the bones. I don't even know how that's physically possible, but I really don't want to find out either. However, regardless if this would be able to kill X-23 or not, it's highly unlikely that Mileena would do this in mid-battle for 3 reasons. 1. Fatality moves are commonly used to finish off the opponent and not something that's casually used in the middle of a fight. 2. Even if Mileena does use them in mid-battle, her deadliest attacks would require her to be a lot more precise and put in a lot more strength and effort than her casual fighting moves. But unfortunately, it's gonna be very hard for Mileena to be that precise since X-23 has a clear speed advantage and would most likely dodge and outmaneuver Mileena at every turn. And 3, regardless of those first 2 reasons, X-23's body is a lot harder to penetrate or rip apart than most of the combatants in Mortal Kombat, which is another major obstacle that Mileena will be highly unlikely to get past. So I think it's safe to say that X-23's healing factor will have Mileena pretty stumped. Now finally, let's discuss weaponry. Mileena's signature weapons are her sais, which can not only pierce through even the toughest flesh or armor, but she can also charge them up with magical energy for a more devastating attack. Now as impressive as that sounds, let's compare them to X-23's adamantium claws. 2 claws in each hand and 1 claw on each foot. Yeah, not really much of a contest here if you think about it. We're talking about the same metal that her father Wolverine has, which is virtually indestructible and can cut through just about anything, such as Iron Man's armor and the World War Hulk skin as examples. Now, unlike her father Logan, only her claws are made of adamantium, while the rest of her skeleton is pretty much just bone. So she's not completely indestructible in the same way her father is. You know, I just thought of something else. If Mileena tries to use that Man-Eater or Inhale Fatality move on X-23, she wouldn't be able to digest the claws, so swallowing those wouldn't really be a good idea. But that doesn't really matter anyway, because X-23's clearly superior weapons are more than capable enough to counter Mileena's sais, as well as easily slicing through Mileena's body like butter. Enough said. So overall, while Mileena would put up a good fight, especially with her formal fighting skill and experience advantage, and while she does have some potential ways of possibly killing X-23, but with X-23 being physically superior in most categories, being able to outsmart and outpace Mileena at every turn, and having just the perfect weapons to get the job done, Mileena will soon run out of options until the only option left is to just stand there and let X-23 finish her. I think I've said enough. So in the end, Mileena has suffered a mortal fate. The winner of this battle is X-23.
Got any ideas for Show-Off Showdown? Then let me know in the comments below, and hopefully I just might do them. Now stay tuned for the next episode of Show-Off Showdown!